Good evening, friends. This is Dr. John WorldPeace, JD. JD meaning Doctor of Jurisprudence. I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a PhD. It's September the 24th, 11:53 p.m. in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to talk to you about my uh, running for president in 2020. Tell you a little bit about that and my attitude about what I'm trying to accomplish and my observations about which are going to be common to just about everybody. The biggest problem with American democracy right now is that there's a two-party system. It's evolved over the last 240 years to a two-party system, and it's deadlocked. The government hasn't functioned properly since Richard Nixon, before he was impeached. The Democrats were astounded the Republicans were astounded that Richard Nixon could be impeached, indicted, forced to resign, go through that whole process. He wasn't actually indicted. He quit. But the Republicans were out for blood, and they let go of their wrath with Bill Clinton, and then followed that up with Obama, and we're at deadlock. You know, we have the Republicans who represent money and corporation and pushing money from transferring money from the lower part of the social pyramid up to the top. We have Democrats that are more concerned about social issues. Um, that's the way it is, and it's stagnated. So my opinion is that what we need is a third party, but developing a third party with the entrenchment of the Republicans, Democrats is just not going to happen. I don't really believe we need a third party because I just think it's like the Green Party and the Libertine Party. They're just not going anywhere. What we need, and what we already really have, is independent voters who are voting maybe mostly Republican or Democratic, but on certain issues they're going to vote independent. I think we need an independent presidency because as an independent president, as the head essentially of an independent coalition, not a party, a coalition is flexible and it moves from election to election depending on what the issues are. And the point of an independent coalition would be to have a tiebreaker and a compromiser between the Republicans and the Democrats. A president that would have the votes behind him that could throw that coalition to the Democrats or the Republicans, depending on what the issue is, and break the deadlock and not come to where we have shutdowns of the government, which is, quite frankly, stupid. The Republicans have been in control. The shutdowns are a matter of course now. That's dumb. Period. Everybody loses in a shutdown. So anyway, I was going to run as a Democrat, but the Democrats are just as corrupt and just as entrenched in the system as the Republicans. But I would lean toward Democrats. You see this cap. I was going to run for president as a Democrat, but I don't want to deal with that bureaucracy. I don't want to be controlled, and I don't want to be put in a box. I want to do what I want to do. I want to appeal to the independent voter. So at this time, though, quite frankly, overall, I would rather see an American democracy in blue, democratic, rather than an American democracy in red. So until I come up with a hat for my independent run for president, I am wearing this for now. I am leaning overall to the Democratic Party. I want to see a Democratic president. I want to see Democratic House and Senate as things stand right now, based upon Donald Trump and the corruption I see incredible in John McConnell and the House and the Senate both. The way it's going to work is that I'm going to run as an independent, as a write-in candidate. I'm not going to establish a party. An independent party is an oxymoron. Independent coalition, that is people that are moving in one direction, election by election. It's flexible. There's no structure. And I'm going to run as a write-in candidate because then I don't have to follow very minimum rules. And what I've got to do in the next 2.5 years or 2.25 years is to get people to understand that they go to the polls and they scribble in JWP, JW, Peace, World Peace, or some variation of that as an indication that they're voting for me. Now, this is a radical idea, and we'll see what happens. But we know one thing for sure, friends, we got to change what's going on. What's going on is nonsense. Another thing, and just talking for a moment about my political philosophy, the thing that we have got to get rid of is the independent, the Electoral College. We need to have the president elected to where the majority rules, period. The Electoral College is it's abomination to democracy. It can be manipulated, unlike the raw, the one that's got the most votes win. In every other election in the United States, it's majority rules. In the presidency, it's got the Electoral College. And we have more and more situation like we had this time. Hillary got the majority of the votes. Donald Trump got the presidency. There's no reason for the Electoral College, which was all about trying to create some equality and count slaves for voting purposes, but nothing else. We got to get rid of that. But anyway, back to this issue of an independent candidacy. I'm not going to be allied with the Democrats. I'm not going to be allied with the Republicans. I'm not going to be allied with any big money interests that are funneling money to my campaign. The money will come from contributions, possibly. But if there are contributions, it's going to be only individuals, and at the maximum $2,500. Once you kick that amount of money in, that's it. I'm not going to run a high finance campaign. It's going to run off of volunteers. I'm not going to be flying all around the country. I will do some of that, but I will hold rallies here in Albuquerque and close by. But it's not going to be a lot of expenses. If I'm on YouTube, Facebook every day, and you're seeing my face, then why do I need to travel the country? Yeah, there needs to be some of that. I need to get out and let people actually see me and shake my hand and vice versa and so forth, but I'm not going to be needing to spend $10 million, $50 million in jet fees flying around. It's a waste in this day of social media, and quite frankly, I just don't have the time for it. I've got too much to do to respond to what's going on in the news, to try to present myself as a candidate. So anyway, I am going to be talking more and more about how I see this independent coalition coming together. Uh, Basically, it amounts to the independents having a figurehead to represent them, election to election. That's what it comes down to. I am the independent writing candidate with X amount of support. And that support in those various areas allow me to, if I were president, to force the Republicans and the Democrats to get together and compromise and work things out and move America forward. There's too many problems in the world right now, too much change going on to let things get blockaded like they are now. Complete inability to do anything. What has Donald Trump done? Nothing. Passed a big tax bill for the rich, and that's all he's been able to accomplish. He thought he would come in, have a Republican majority, and that's just not the way American politics work. There's a backlash against Donald Trump, and it's growing every day. And the prime example is this Kavanaugh mess. Holy mackerel! What an incredible mess that is. I'll talk about that in another tape. I've already done some of that, mostly in print. But at any rate, here's something else, and this is why I feel that I'm gonna make myself known, create a presence, create something to be dealt with. Number one, I'm a vet. Any candidate that's running, I'm going to hammer them for not being a vet. As far as I'm concerned, if there's a choice between a vet and a non-vet for president, you need to vote for the vet. The vet, all things else being equal, the vet has given his time to America, not just talk, action. I've spent my time in the United States Army during the Vietnam era, 70 to 72. I've done my time. Anybody that is running and hasn't, I'm going to hammer them on that issue. Second thing is, I go to church every Sunday. I came into this life with Jesus and God and never lost the faith. I'm not a born-again Christian. When I was a kid, until I went off to college, I went to church 48 Sundays out of the year, Presbyterian church, church and Sunday school. That was my mother's rule. That's what we did, and I go to church now. If a candidate is not going to church, well, folks, don't vote for him. Don't come up and talk to the Christians about how great how you're a Christian, for the election for whatever period of months, and then not go to church. So you're going to need to go to church. Number three, I've got a website, johnworldpeace.com, 8,000 pages on there. Anything you want to know about me, there it is. No other candidate's going to have that. I've got a very long history. I'm 70 years old. It's all on the internet, and I'm adding more every day. Another issue is I've been hammering Donald Trump every day, 4 or 5 days a week, not with Twitter tweets and sound bites, but with 500 to 1,000 words, 1,500 word commentary on exactly what my position is on whatever political issue that's happening. Nobody's going to write that much. Forget it. I've got on my website, johnworldpeace.com, go under the Teach Peace section on the front left of the home page and go down to vetting documents. You will see all the documents, my copies of my degrees, my discharge in the Army, my Masonic documents, my Mensa documents. I'm not like Donald Trump. I am a member, was a member of Mensa and so forth. So anyway, that's a brief history or preview of what's coming. I'll be back with more in a later video. Thanks for your consideration. Have a good evening.